Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball. This is episode number 11. A couple really quick things here. First off, I had a Windows update. It messed with my settings on OBS and it screwed up my recording. So I am re recording some audio over it. So, for that primary reason, I've actually been able to condense down what was over 2 hours of recording and in what probably would have been a 40-minute episode with a little bit of rambling. We're going to condense that right on down into like 15 minutes, getting to some key points in this episode. And I think that's actually probably a good thing on this one because there was a little bit more of the same old thing, and we're ready to move on to some new things. It's episode 11. We've been doing this rebuild here for what, 7-8 episodes over the course of a year now, and yeah, it's time to move on. Well, anyway, Cifuentes. This is actually the very first player that we have come across in the international free agency market. Now, there's a $5 million cap for each team that they can spend yearly on international free agents. So that's it. That's the maximum. It's all bonus, and then you get your contract from there. Cifuentes is a 16-year-old center fielder. So this is all about bonus and then like minor league contract. So it's like getting a draft pick, but it's competitive, and everybody else has their $5 million budget as well. And again, I just cannot get players to show up. I see that players are occasionally signed, but the major league teams always get after him. So Cifuentes and now Montoya, that we're looking at here, are two very, very high potential players for our level that I'm going after, that I'm going to offer. And initially, they're both looking for like 2.5 million. So we're going to offer above that and try to see if we can get these guys signed, because this has been a really difficult market for me. I mean, we're well into this second season, and I've not been able to sign anyone in this area, and these guys are both very, very high potential. Okay, so we're into our annual list of prospects, and in the batters, we are right there at the top of the list. The number one guy, technically it's number 3 overall, which means there's 2 pitchers above him on the list, but the top batter. And as you break down that list, we're all over the top end of it. Now, the top end for pitchers, for us, we're there. We're thereabouts. We've got plenty of guys on the list, but we're not as quite, we're not quite as high up that list, or at least not quite as many players near the top of that list. One thing I've noticed, though, right now is we're actually a little bit better in terms of pitching than we are batting at the moment. So having some really good batting prospects near the major leagues is really good. And we've gone from 4th back up to 1st place in the farm system rankings, and by some margin. We're 100 points clear of 2nd place. There's only 5 out of 30 that even have 100 points. So we are dominating the minor league system rankings at this point. And, breaking down this list, top 5 prospects, almost everybody around us has 5 or fewer on the list. I'm barely even scratching the surface of my prospects that make that top 100 list with the first 5 listed. So we are looking fantastic. Cifuentes has come back with bigger offers from somebody else. So we're going to push this on up into maximum contract territory after a couple of attempts. And ultimately, we're going to miss out. So Cifuentes and the other guy, they both got maximum contract offers from major league teams with higher reputation, and they accepted those. So we are still 0 for 2 at this point, but technically 0 for anything in the international free agency market. But we'll hang on to that $5 million because we have cash to burn, and we might as well keep after it. One of these days we'll get somebody of fair talent. The AllStar Game list has come out, and only one player from our team ended up making the AllStar Game, and that is our left fielder Elijah Thompson, who is our DH, by the way. So DH Elijah Thompson has made the All-Star game. But for me, the big thing is the futures game, as in the minor league game. It's littered with our players, absolutely stacked with our guys. There is screen's small for me on what I'm looking at on the replay of this, but I wanted to say it was 6 players that ended up making the list. 3 from our AAA, 2 from our AA, and 1 from the single A roster. So really impressive stuff that they like our guys that much. And then the game, the MVP, was one of our guys. So we dominated that, and it was one of our AA guys too. It wasn't even one of those AAA guys. So absolutely fantastic to see that our minor league system is full of talent and potential, and handled carefully, we can really turn that into some quality major league talent. It doesn't all have to develop from within. But a check-in on how we are doing in the league as we have pushed forward a bit. We've found ourselves in a little bit of a run, and we've improved, and we're only 7 games below 500, 34 and 41. Now, we had drifted just a bit below this point, but we've rebounded to this point, and we have really spent most of this season somewhere between 6 to 10 games below 500. So being at about 7 games below 500 right now is pretty good, and the only thing senior roster wise that has evolved over the course of this season is, well, 2 things. One, our catcher who came in, number 2 draft pick, has come in, and he's gone straight into the starting lineup. But other than that, it's the waiver wire pitchers, and we have reshaped what started at the beginning of the season as a fairly weak bullpen, but it's become pretty good. Now, quick check-in on the rest of the organization. Our AAA, our AA, our single A are all outstanding. They have been having phenomenal seasons. Again, it just reiterates that point of we have rebuilt this thing from having nothing in terms of talent, and we are full of it now at the minor league system. Now, more than that, though, you got the 2 lower divisions. They are in play now because the draft is behind us, and a lot of those draft players were redistributed into those top 3 tiers of the minor league system. So our rookie league, our short A season aren't great, but one of them's doing pretty well. The other one not so much, but it's our dumping ground. It's the overlap. There's only a few players there with any potential or current ability. So we're at 1 team now out of 5. That's pretty bad. But our team, pitching wise, we're mid-table. We are very much mid-table now in our league. Batting is still bottom 3rd, but it's nowhere near last, and that is still that's progress. That is real progress, because at this point we have gone for depth of organization through all the trade moves that we've been making thus far, and not for top end talent. We are accumulating numerous quality pieces, numerous potential pieces, but we haven't gotten into the major things. So I figured it was time to start making some more moves, because we've been a little bit quiet and just playing the waiver wire for a while. So now what I'm up to is we have that 1 team worth of really, really poor players still outside of a few pieces. And our minor league system was averaging about 29 to 30 players per team, which is a little more than you want by about 5. So I started making the 5-for-1 kind of deals to get rid of some really, really bottom end talent, the last pieces that really don't matter. And we were able to conclude 1 deal in that regard. And then I'm starting to evaluate the rosters. For one, I've picked up some waiver wire guys again to continue strengthening our pitching roster, and our pitching roster is getting there. I've got 1 2-star starting pitcher, but otherwise it's 2.5 and 3-star guys now. And the relievers, it's all 3.5-star guys. And we've even picked up a 4-star guy. So pitching staff is looking pretty dang good. But our in the batting side, in the fielding group, it's not so great looking at them. There's 2.5 star talent across the board, and Rayleigh was the only 3-star guy, and then we got McCormick, the catcher, in the draft, and he's fantastic, but he's had a slow start. Coming straight out of the draft to the major leagues is a bit of a jump, and he is adjusting. But I made a move. I finally took. We were kind of struggling with our 40-man roster, and we were getting these waiver wire guys in, and I took some pieces, and I've made a couple moves. We brought in, from here, it's hard to see, it's like Cuevas, this right fielder, okay? But Rayleigh's also a right fielder. And I don't have a good center fielder. Valadares ended up, I sent him down to AAA. He was just not performing well. He was batting like 180. Luke Rayleigh can kind of handle center field. Not great, but he's okay. So we've got him moving over to center. And we've got a good outfield. Kind of. Elijah Thompson would be good, but he's not a good defender, so he's playing DH. It'd be nice if Trey Ward was, not a part of our lineup, but he's doing okay. Could definitely upgrade from there. But we also got in Felipe, the first baseman. The first baseman we had wanted a trade, and I was happy to give him that because he just wasn't doing great for us anyway. Ownership wanted an upgrade at first base anyway, and I was able to make a move happen, and he was a part of that move. He plus a AAA piece, 40-man roster piece, we were able to get that deal done and get an upgrade. So we've made now 2 upgrades to our lineup. There's still some room for growth there, and that is, I think, shorter term, longer term, that needs to be the target now, because these are the harder pieces to acquire. Pitching is so easy to get through the waiver wire and replace and recycle and regurgitate. Starting pitching is not as easy. This season I focused a lot on making trades that improve starting pitching, and I actually think I've got a bunch of guys in AAA that are probably upgrades on what I have at senior level, but a lot of them are non-40-man roster. And so to make room for them, I'd have to get rid of somebody else. And, well, maybe that's where things fall into play. Maybe I need to package a starter and a reliever and try to get a fielder who's an upgrade. Or package a starter and one of our not-so-good senior-level fielders and get an improvement. So we are continuing to reshuffle, but short term, I'm starting to look at the major league roster itself and see where we can find something. We've got some players with potential in the minor league system. I don't necessarily want to get rid of those. I want to allow them to develop and see where they go with that. But I think that's the goal now. There's still a few more pieces. I've brought the average roster size in the minor leagues down to about 27. We can bring that down by a couple more. So we definitely still have some movable parts, and that waiver wire continues to serve us well. In the league, though, as we pushed forward a little bit further, we went on a super, super cold streak, lost 9 straight. A couple of injuries were part of that, but we lost 9 straight, and we are now eliminated from any contention for this season. But I'm totally okay with that for 2 reasons. One, looking at the scenario that improves our draft pick. 2, it's not like we were going to compete this season. I mean, we would have been mid-table, so all this does is, change our draft position and nothing else. But we're still not, in contention. We're still in rebuild mode, not win now mode. So I'm totally okay with not winning and taking those 9 losses. So it's all good. What we have here, though, is progress. Even if the win-loss record just took a bit of a nosedive, we're coming along. I'm excited for it. But that is going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.